Good morning. It is Thursday, week 3 of Lent, and I've had so many requests for chicken church, and I've been weighing the decision. And just the other day, I saw a video from Canterbury Cathedral that was morning prayer from the chicken coop. So I figured if Canterbury Cathedral can do it, so can a priest in Central Texas. So this morning, we'll be doing a reading from the daily lectionary. It'll be today's gospel reading. And in the background, you'll get to hear some of the fun chicken sounds. Maybe see them pecking over there at their food while we hear the gospel reading, and then I'll offer a light reflection before closing. Today's gospel is from Mark 6. The apostles gathered around Jesus and told him all they had done and taught. He said to them, "Come away to a deserted place all by yourselves and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a deserted place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they hurried there on foot from all the towns and arrived ahead of them. As he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them, because they were like sheep without a shepherd, and he began to teach them many things. When it grew late, his disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now very late. Send them away so that they may go into the surrounding country and villages and buy something for themselves to eat." But he answered them, "You give them something to eat." They said to him, "Are we going to go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread and give them to eat?" And he said to them, "How many loaves have you? Go and see." When they had found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Then he ordered them to get all the people to sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and of 50s. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to his disciples to set before the people. And he divided the 2 fish among them all. And all ate and were filled. And they took up 12 baskets full of broken pieces and of the fish. Those who had eaten the loaves numbered 5,000 men. Immediately he made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side, to Bethsaida, while he dismissed the crowd. After saying farewell to them, he went up on the mountain to pray. So the interesting thing, I think, about this gospel reading today is the way that we have an envelope. An envelope is a literary term for the bookends, if you will, that sometimes surround a story. And the way that this story is framed also says something about the meaning of the text. So here we've got an envelope for this story that begins with Jesus encouraging the disciples to go away and find rest. And then it ends with Jesus going away into the mountains to find rest and prayer. So I think the first thing I want to point out is that no work, no good deeds, no mission work, no spiritual teaching or guidance can happen without rest. We, especially clergy, sometimes can have the tendency to go and give and give and give, and we forget to find rest. But so we see here that it is in between these two moments of rest that this miracle happens. And so rest does not mean the Spirit ceases to work. If anything, having rest allows us to be more open and receptive to what the Holy Spirit is calling us to do. And also, I think it's important to raise that sometimes where we think we're headed isn't where we end up going, right? So the disciples were on their way to find rest, to find time alone. And what they ended up finding was a multitude of hungry people. People who were hungry spiritually and then also hungry physically. And so on the way to where they were going, they still had their eyes and ears open to the people that were hungry. the people that were longing to hear something from Jesus and be fed by the disciples. We also have another interesting thing here where we see a foreshadowing of communion, of Eucharist, of the Last Supper, as it's often called. Here, Jesus takes the loaves and he breaks them and he gives them to the people. He distributes it to the community so that they can be nourished. So here, God is noticing and tending to his flock through Christ and through the disciples, that they are not only spiritually hungry, but they are also physically hungry, and that both of those needs are important. So Jesus speaks to them, he teaches them, and then he also physically feeds them. I think it's important for us in the church to remember that it's all good and great if we are teaching and imparting wisdom of the church to those that we are in communion with or those we live amongst. But we must also realize that there are physical needs. And if all we do is tell them what they should and shouldn't do and then don't pay attention to the ways that they are hungry and we can minister to them through that, then I don't really know what good it's really going to do. So those are just a few off-the-cuff thoughts and remarks about today's gospel reading. I would love to hear from you about what spoke to you in that passage, or maybe what thoughts you have in response to my thoughts. And as always, we have the chickens, and they have been here feeding on their abundance as well. And hope to do some more of these videos. So let me know if y'all liked it, if you'd like me to try something different next time, and we'll see how this goes. So there you go, your first iteration of Chicken Church. Ah, she wants to say goodbye. There you go, girl.